Hello and welcome. Are you new to painting by numbers? If so, you're in the right place. My name is Naomi, and today I'll be your guide as we go over our step-by-step instructions for how to get started with a paint by numbers canvas. Let's get started. One of the first things that you'll need to do when you get your paint by numbers kit is to determine the location in which you'll be painting. It's important to find somewhere comfortable and well lit. It's also important that the space be clean and free of distractions. For me, it's helpful to have somewhere where I can leave a painting, since it generally takes about 10 to 15 hours to truly complete a full paint by numbers canvas. Next, it's time to prepare your materials. There are several components that are included in every kit, including the canvas, a few paint brushes, paints, and a tiny little postcard, which has essentially what the painting will look like when it's done. But bear in mind that every painting is unique, and yours will be unique to you. So while this is good to use as a reference guide, don't be upset if yours doesn't turn out exactly like the postcard. You will need 2 cups of water, one for clean water and one for dirty paint water, as well as paper towels to dry up your paint brushes. Next, we will prepare the canvas. Canvases are often made out of cotton or linen. They are a fabric material and not paper. This is important because when the canvas is shipped, it is usually sent rolled, and you will have to unfurl it and occasionally iron it. This may sound a little concerning to you at first because of course you don't want to ruin your canvas. But bear in mind that this is going to be made out of cotton or linen, and so it's perfectly safe to iron. The canvas that I'll be using today has been sitting out for a few days, so I won't need to iron it, but I will stretch it out as far as possible using tape. Pull the canvas taut and apply tape to all 4 of the corners. At this time, you may also consider putting tape around the borders of the canvas so that you don't accidentally paint in the white area of the canvas. Of course, this choice is up to you. At this time, I like to prepare my brushes. It's a good idea to take a look at them, evaluating whether or not they have any stray hairs. To make that easier, I like to dip it in water and take a closer look. It may be difficult to see on camera, but there is a distinct clump of brush hairs off of this brush that I will need to cut. Using any pair of scissors, you can do this with your brushes as well. This way, you will be able to be precise and won't have to worry about your brushes messing up your painting. Using my scissors, I will cut back the stray bristles as far on the paintbrush as I can. Now we will evaluate our paints. In many kits, there's anywhere from 1 to 24 paints, sometimes more, and in this case less. We only have 20. Some people like to go through each individual paint and determine whether or not the nature of the paint is transparent or opaque. Transparent, meaning that you can see the canvas after you paint it, or opaque, meaning that you can't see any of the canvas after you paint. I'm going to show you a quick trick for how you can prepare your paint so that you'll know what's opaque and what's transparent, and this will help you speed up the process in the future while you're painting. I have grabbed a Sharpie and I'm going to make a list from 1 to 20 of all the numbers on the side of my canvas here. Now, I'm going to go through each of the corresponding paints and see if the paint covers up the Sharpie. If it does, I know that it's opaque, and if it doesn't, I know it's transparent. As I open up the number 1 paint, you might notice that it's particularly creamy. I like to mix my paint with a little bit of water from my clean water cup in order to make it more easily spreadable on the canvas. Now, I will paint over the number 1. To me, that looks to be opaque as it's covering the entire number. In between each color, I take the dirty brush, rinse it out in the dirty water, then dab the extra color off on my paper towel. Then, I will re-wet my brush in the clean water and move on to paint pod number 2. I will continue this process until I find a number that's transparent. As you will see, number 7 is the first number that we ran into that has transparent paint. What does this mean? This means that when you find a number 7 spot on the canvas, it won't cover up the number and it won't cover up the lines on the canvas. So, what do? Let me show you. In the middle of the canvas here, you'll see a tiny number 7. So I know that if I paint over that with the number 7 color, I'll still be able to see that. So I'm just going to take a tiny spot of whiteout, cover up the number 7, and then paint over it. It's important to be ready to paint after you cover up the number with whiteout because otherwise you won't know what the number is. I would also like to point out that I would not normally start this process with a color so light. Lighter colors are not quite as forgiving as darker colors, so they usually come a little later in the process. For now, on the number 7 paint pod, I'm going to write a small T. Now when I reach a number 7 on the canvas, I will know that that is not an opaque color, and I need to be prepared with my whiteout. Now, it's finally time to start painting, but you're probably wondering where to begin. It's up to you. You can start wherever. My major advice would be just don't start with the super translucent colors or anything white. I usually like to start with the darkest color that I have, so for this painting it will probably be either this green or this red. And I will go from the top left all the way down to the bottom right with that one color. And then I'll go next darkest all the way down to the bottom right with that color and repeat. The reason why I start on the top left is because I'm right-handed, and when you're painting, you can get your hand in the paint if you start down here or up here. If you're left-handed, just reverse it. Start at the top right and make your way down to the bottom left. Now, as you're painting, you might not even know how to hold the brush. But don't worry, as you become more proficient, you'll start developing techniques and brush strokes that are unique for you and work for your artistic endeavors. However, when you're first starting out, it can be easiest to use just the tip of the brush. If you get only the tip of the brush in the paint, and then use the tip of the brush to paint, it will help you with precision and staying in the lines. I'll show you an example. I'm going to fill in this small 20 pot right here. It may be tempting to use the side of the brush so that you can go faster, but you'll find that it's a lot more difficult to stay inside the line. As you look on your canvas, you may notice that some of these spots are very, very tiny. So small in fact that using a brush might be impractical. Feel free to also use a toothpick. Here's an example of a different painting that I've been working on. You'll notice that I primarily start in the top left and make my way down. This kit also contained a pure black color, and so that is the color that I would choose to start with. I hope this video helped you out on knowing where to start and where to go. Now, once you finish your painting, you may want to hang it up. Be sure to go check out gopaintbynumbers.com in order to see some of our frames and other paintings that you might enjoy. Thank you so much for watching this video, and we'll see you next time.